Good morning, good morning, good morning. Merry stupid clock, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going to that horrible world known as the Judge Rotenberg Center, but before we do, the usual disclaimer. First off, folks, I am exhausted and overstressed. Must be Tuesday, right? So, if you could send some good vibes in my general direction, mucho appreciated. Okay. In the description box, folks, you are going to see the link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It is written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the quote-unquote behavioral modification program at the JRC. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they do not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill, as the cat would say. Come here, Mr. Meow. Hold on, folks. What's the matters? Come, my mittens. Please read that article and share on all your social media, alright? We also got the statement linked in from NeuroClastic on the defamation lawsuit threat, also in the description box, along as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC has the balls to see through with their threat. We also have the links to the Agape boarding school situation. Agape boarding school is a Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in troubled male teens that has a pending over 21 substantiated claims and lawsuits leveled against it that are alleging child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, sexual abuse, starvation, and as of late, child trafficking. They have had one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another, a doctor that is still living on the premises and well in proximity of children, is up on multiple substantiated claims of sodomy and sexual abuse and assault of the students there. We have an attorney general who has dropped the ball so bad that he's made himself a national laughing stock, yet somehow still ahead in the polls for the Washington Senate race out my state. So please, folks, share these links on all your social media. Don't forget to tag his ass to let people know. We also have linked in there the change.org Shut Agape Boarding School Down petition. Also, we have the pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, that's right, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, the tin plates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, folks, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please go ahead and use your headphones, all right? Also, this channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and we speak about dark subjects. If your child is 16 and under and watching this channel, parental supervision is obviously advised. And it is 4:37 a.m. in the morning. I'm not even close to being remotely close to being awake. So if I stumble over my words, folks, apologies in advance. And remember, we're about to be in for some stupid word salad abuse apologencia. So just be prepared for that. Alright, so where we left off yesterday, right? Okay, how to determine when we would use a program opportunities with a student, Jesus Christ. JRC conducts an individual assessment of the student. Based on that assessment and empirical data, determines whether program opportunities would have a therapeutic value for the student. Oh, for fuck's sake. So what we're going to determine by a psychological profile, which is inherently flawed because we don't know what we're actually fucking doing. We're just going to assume they're doing these things for attention. we're going to figure out how best we might torture this student into compliance. Great. Fantastic. Fuck you, JRC. So if the student they determine thinks that they can be bullied around, they're going to do it cute, real cute. We encourage our psychologists to use program opportunities with all of our students whenever they are academic, social, or problematic behaviors can benefit from program op procedure. Oh, so we go from saying we barely do it with any of the students to we do it for all the students. So which one is it, JRC? Because you used that as an argument against New York already. You said, but this is barely a small percentage, but we actually use it for all the students. Do you have anyone proofread this shit before you put it out in the media? Dear God. I mean, I know this is horrific propaganda, but it's propaganda that doesn't even make any sense because you contradict yourselves time and time and time again throughout this entire grandiose, overlong document. God. Jeez. The procedures are particularly helpful and even necessary in the treatment of behaviors that do not occur frequently enough under natural circumstances to enable the student to receive a sufficient number of conditioning trials. I hate that word. Every time they use conditioning, all I hear is brainwashing. We're going to condition you into proper behavior. We're going to take away all your self-coping and self-soothing things that you do, your stimming, because it looks weird. We don't understand it. But we're going to force you into the behavior that we want you to have because it makes us feel more comfortable. Then they're going to, justify it. But dangerous self-interest behavior and you don't understand. I'm like, first off, you take away the things that we use to not engage in those more dangerous behaviors. Then you're going to browbeat us into masking into proper behavior. Then you become surprised when after a long period of masking, we lose our shit and have worse behaviors than ever before. And then you use that as a justification to haul us our asses in before the judge, strapped up looking like fucking Hannibal Lecter so that you can then shock us. Great plan. Great plan. Jesus. You all really don't understand anything about the psychology of your students, do you? Do you? Masking only works for so long. It's like placing a band-aid on an open wound that very obviously needs fucking surgery and stitches. It doesn't have any long-term effects that is actually going to have a positive outcome for the rest of their lives. It just furthers the trauma. The underlying issues remain undealt with because you dumbasses are still sitting there saying, but isn't the underlying condition that you want attention, isn't it though? No, JRC, it's actually not. It's actually not about attention or manipulating a situation or getting a desired outcome or whatever bullshit you pull out of your ass today. It's about our neurology, and you can't browbeat our neurology out of us. You can't abuse the autism out of us. You can't abuse the ADHD out of us. You can't abuse the Angelman syndrome, Down syndrome, or mental health issues out of us. You're just going to make it worse. You may say, but you're not having behaviors and that's progress, right? Most of these students can vouch for the fact that they have as soon as they get out of there, regression. And what's regression? Regression is a thing that occurs in autism and a few other disabilities. It means when we are out of the stressful situation and no longer under threat, all that trauma, all that shit, all those problems we buried time and time again, they come out into the forefront and become 1,000 times worse than ever they were before, because we also now have trauma on top of it. So that self-loathing, that depression, that sense of wanting to fucking die that we were buried while we were in that situation, they all come to the forefront. So of course, if we're masking 24/7 and taught to loathe how we are as human beings, of course those self-injurious behaviors are going to be worse. You just made us fucking hate ourselves. You made us think that we deserved the abuse because of how not normal we are. And now we've regressed. So what's going to happen? Yeah. Just saying. Similarly, it would also be evident that we cannot arrange the stimulus control training described above without being able to deliberately arrange occasions when the stimulus for the problem behavior is presented. I bring up my point from last time, and we'll go on to the next paragraph here. To give you a good mental health equivalent, say you got a soldier from Vietnam suffering from severe PTSD. Is it justifiable using this logic to deliberately trigger an episode of that PTSD? Punish the soldier for having the predicted response due to having PTSD, and to keep doing this time and again until they give the unbothered behavior that you want. Does that actually fix the underlying issue that is causing the episode? Of course it doesn't. The man needs fucking therapy, not torture. Matter of fact, a situation like this would make that PTSD understandably 1,000 times worse. 1,000 times worse. Now let's compare that with your common autistic, your ADHD, or anyone generally with a disability who lives out in this current environment in the world. There is an underlying current of hatred, deliberate misunderstanding, and just general overall smearing of people with disabilities that's prevalent throughout society and has always been there. Always been there. We inherently already have trauma, just having to deal with the public school systems, the inherited and complete systematic prejudices against us. There's a lot of people that don't even think people like me should be in school or be educated, because it's useless according to them. So we have all this internalized trauma that we are already dealing with. The bullying, the bullshit, the teachers, all of it, right? Some of us have even been horrifically abused within our own homes. We have parents standing next to us literally telling people on fucking national TV that they wish they could put us in a car with them and then drive off a fucking bridge. Because yes, guess what, autism parents? Your nonverbal can fucking understand you. They hear what you're saying. Okay? Then you're put into this place. All it does is further the trauma, and the fact that you will deliberately trigger an episode to torture the kid into proper behavior. It's literally not how any of this works, Karen. You cannot browbeat. You cannot abuse. You cannot traumatize us into the behaviors you want to. And you want to know why? Because it never lasts for long periods of time. Because our neurology is what it is. There is no fucking cure. And overall, all you're going to do is make it fucking worse than it ever was before. But let's move on. How to determine when we would use a program opportunities with a student. JRC conducts an individual assessment, and based on the assessment empirical data, determines whether program opportunities would have therapeutic value for the student. How many times are we going to fucking repeat ourselves here, JRC? We encourage our psychologists to use program opportunities with all their students, whether they... Oh, wait, I already read this. Let's move on. Sorry. Did they just repeat themselves? Decisions to develop and use program opportunities are made in response to therapy notes, case manager, teacher, programmer's observations concerning patterns of inappropriate or behavior, or occasionally student self-report or direct observation of interactions. Fucking great. Fucking great. So you use our therapy notes against this too. Oh, we let you see the counselor. Why? So you can figure out better ways to torture us? You see, in most general places, what goes on between a student and a fucking therapist should be sacrosanct. But oh no, not here. We're going to take those psychological notes and we're going to use them on how better to affect you with torture. Because all we care about is the behavior. We don't care about what triggers it. No, that remains buried because we think we fucking know everything. I've said it too. I'm like fucking blue in the face. How many times do I have to say it? Quit putting your neurotypical fucking motivations on us. But we think, and we're the experts, so you just don't understand yourself. Gee, I'm pushing fucking 40. If I don't understand myself at this point after self-analyzing myself for damn near 40 years, then you're certainly never going to. None of this shit would work on me. I would mask, fake it until I make it, until I got the fuck out of there, and then I would self-fucking-destruct. Just telling you how it would happen. Deliberately triggering a behavior to happen is abuse. JRC. Deliberately forcing a behavior out of someone that we are purposely trying with all our might to not engage in is wrong. The fact that we know that it's wrong and that it's a low occurring behavior should already be considered a success. That means we already know it's wrong. That means we are already, a good majority of the time, giving the proper response, which means we don't need you to torture us and then tell us the proper response when we already fucking know it. That is literally torturing us just to torture us. That means deliberately triggering us so that it then gives you the right to torture us, and then you get to pat yourselves on the fucking back as we go back to our rooms completely catatonic. This is not a success, JRC. Traumatizing a child into compliance and silence is not a success. You're setting them up for abuse and to be prey to predators for the rest of their fucking lives. I'm going to close out on that because, God, I'm getting tired of repeating myself. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye. God, I hate these people.